And now we have a straight. That all happened very, very fast. Set is good. We have set. We have bet. Subscribe now to a front row seat for expert hand analysis and world-class cash game strategy. E6 off. Blind versus blind. Going to be one of the worst hands that we start opening with. King 4, going to start out with a third. I find that villains are quite sticky in blind versus blind situations, so ace high, pretty good hand to bluff catch with. Turning an ace, pretty good. Facing 75% pot, going to be a pretty easy call. Villains kind of saying they've got a king or nothing. Trip kings makes it less likely they have a king, so pretty much calling any bet that they place here on the river, including 150%, and it's like kissing your sister. Pocket jacks in the small blind, going to be very easy 3-bet facing a button open. If the button 4-bets, we'll just be ramming and jamming it in. 8-6-4 rainbow, so I'm going to start out betting half pot. Villain shouldn't have any straights, shouldn't really have two pairs, so they may have some sets, but they also have a bunch of, pair plus draws, pocket 5s, pocket 7s, 6-7, 8-9, 7-8, maybe even 4-5 suited type hands. Then they're going to have some suited broadways with overcards. The 10 of clubs does give villain another set combo, so pocket 10s does put up a backdoor flush draw. My expectation is that villain's going to do a lot of checking behind here. We could have also bet the turn. I think betting the turn is somewhat reasonable here with our jacks, but checking and 10 pairing is quite nice. It does give 9-10 trips, which was a gut shot, and some of their backdoor flush draws. I guess they're diamond backdoor flush draws, trips. So yeah, gonna be betting for value here, targeting the range that I suspected they might have on the flop. The 8-9s, the pocket 7s, the pocket 5s, the 6-7s, the 7-8s, those pair plus draw type hands. I think they're gonna be pretty happy to bluff catch on this run out. I don't expect to get jammed on that frequently. Really tough for villain to have natural bluffs if they do jam. I think a hand like 6-7 pocket 7s again probably doesn't jam the river, they just call, so be in a pretty dicey spot if villain did go ahead and rip it in, which they did. So I think I'm just gonna fold. Really hard to find natural bluffs, as I said before. I think if I could figure out more hands that villain could be bluffing with. If they're turning a pair into a bluff, then good for them. But yeah, nice hand. Pocket 10s versus my white belt friend. If the cutoff were the button 3-bets, this hand will fall into our cold 4-betting range. Ideally, though, we just battle against our friend. Right, so 3-betting to 12 big blinds. Set is good. We have set. We have bet. So just getting value here from king, queen, ace, queen, any jack X, any pair plus draw, 7X, pocket 8s, pocket 9s, those types of hands. The turn puts up a double flush draw, the 4 of spades. I think that we could certainly bet the turn and jam the river. Opting instead to go for a check raise. So now on the river, I think once the board pairs, all the draws brick. It's a matter of, checking to induce or targeting their pair plus draws and their jack X. And I think that targeting their jack X is just the way to go here, as well as their, 7-8, pocket 8s, pocket 9 type hands if they decide to hero call those, which sadly they do not. Ace 7 off, blind versus blind. Going to be defending, facing a small blind open. Flopping an ace is good. Ace low, low. Not really sure what my expectation here is for villain. I think they, if they bet, we're just going to call. If they check, we're almost certainly going to be checking behind. I think it's hard to get 3 streets of value with our hand, so yeah. Queen on the turn doesn't change a whole lot. If villain checks, we're going to start betting, targeting, queen jack, king queen, queen 10, maybe like pocket trays, pocket fives, 4x, those types of hands I think is quite reasonable to target. Unsure whether or not I'm going to bet the river. I think some rivers I might bet and some rivers I'm probably going to check. If villain check raises here, well, thankfully he didn't. River's a 4 straight. This is a river that I just am not going to be able to bet. So if villain donks, I think we just fold. I can't really imagine many bluffs. I guess backdoor diamonds, it didn't bet the turn, but that's going to be probably a small part of their range. So yeah, facing check on the 4-liner. Just going to check behind and unfortunately lose a pot. Ace 7 of hearts, going to be raising it up from the cutoff. Flopping middle pair. I think we could bet, we could check. Probably going to be opting to check behind. Queen of diamonds on the turn. Doesn't change much. I guess they have queen jack, queen 10. That now gives them top pair. I still think they have more than a reasonable amount of low equity type hands that will place bets here on the turn. Jack 10, 9 10, Jack 9, just squadoosh, ace 4, ace 3. Facing a third, pretty much no-brainer call. King of hearts on the river, so now our hand gets demoted to 4th pair. Facing a bet, I think it's a pretty easy call. Facing a check, I think it's going to be probably too thin to bet for value. I think that I'm just going to check behind. I think villain's going to naturally check a bunch of their 8x, a bunch of their queen x, and my real target is deuce x. So, nice. They actually had a better hand. 6-4 diamonds facing a limp. Just going to be checking and hoping that we can realize some equity. Bottom 2 pair. Pretty nice. Pretty nice start. So, villain has 54.1 big blinds. So, $541. We'll be planning on doing a lot of check raising here. Flush completer and gives me a boat. So really just trying to get villain to bet for some thin value so that we can go for a check raise and capture some bets from their bluffs, but unfortunately they just check it down and sadly we win the minimum with the boat. Opening blind versus blind here with the king deuce of hearts. Bottom pair on a paired board. Going to start out by betting a third and then pretty much hanging on for dear life. Okay, now we're going to initiate hanging on for dear life mode. 7 of spades on the turn. I think that can give villain some gut shots like 9-10, 8-9 if they raise with some sort of backdoor gut shot, but they just check it down and we take it down. 6-8 of clubs, going to be opening on El Baton. Facing a 3-bet. I will be defending a 6 and an 8. And we'll be flopping not much of anything. Ace, King, Queen, not really a board that I'm going to get to stab that often. So just going to check back and hope to realize some equity, which we're a little bit of the way there. Villain bets half pot on the turn, so certainly going to be calling and playing rivers accordingly. The jack on the river. So we make a flush. I think this card is... it's great for our exact hand. I don't know how great it is for getting called. I don't think villain bets a bunch of like king 10 and queen 10 on the turn. We're really just kind of hoping they have ace 10. So I don't expect to get called that often, but we still have flush, so we're going to jam. Jack 10 off. Certainly good enough to call a raise with. Blind versus blind. King 5 deuce. Not flopping much of anything. I guess we do have backdoor straight draw, backdoor flush draw, so probably going to call a bet. Bet versus future checks. Hope to realize some equity. If villain checks, I think we're going to check behind. To once again realize some equity on the turn and go from there. Don't expect villain to check at a super high clip, though. I expect this board to be bet pretty heavily. Okay, so we turn a 9. 40% of the way there to our straight. Facing a third, pretty easy call. And the queen is pretty nice, so we do make our straight. And villain bets, so now we just get to raise and try to target a hand like potentially 2 pair or maybe a slow played set, something like that. I guess they could also just check like king jack, king 10, or king x, ace king, aces, those types of hands on the flop. So we do have a fair amount of hands that we can target with the river raise. Ain't getting called today. 7-4 of hearts. We shall check and realize our equity. And now we have a straight. That all happened very, very fast. So on the 4 straight, I don't expect villain to be betting their ace x now. So just going to bet big and bet big on the river. Target their, ace jacks, ace 9s, ace 8s, ace 7s, ace 6s, those types of hands that, check back the flop and go into bluff catch mode. Can we get called on the river today? I got a good feeling about this one. There we go. Kings is a good hand. We'll be 4 betting or 3 betting, depending on what everybody does. So certainly going to be 3 betting the low jack open with our 2 kings. Fill in 4 bets. We'll just be sticking her in. Ace high flop, not the exact flop we were looking for, but I do think we're going to start out with a c-bet. Just going to be c-betting most of my hands in this situation, and going really, really small, targeting, queen, jacks, 10s, 8, 9, heart type hands. We don't have a heart, so that's nice. And if villain calls the flop, then we will probably just start checking the turn, potentially block river, something along those lines. Did not expect to get raised on the flop and raise minimum. So getting an absurd price, I don't think I can fold yet. Having the king of spades is not super great. We block villain's flush draws. We have ace king, we have ace queen, we have ace jack, we have sets in our range, we have ace 10 suited probably, so I don't, we're just going to fold facing a big bet. We don't need to go that low in our range to defend facing the turn big bet, and I don't know what villain had, but nice hand. Ace deuce of diamonds, going to be 3 betting our white belt friends. Hopefully they don't jam. I would really like to see a flop with this hand. Okay, they didn't jam, and I guess we're going to see a flop. Not much going on there. Just going to check behind and hope to realize some equity. 5 is not really doing it, so just going to check again. 4 straight, probably okay to bluff. I think I'm just going to jam, target their ace queen, ace king type hands, their unpaired type hands. Wait. What just happened? What was your key takeaway from today's episode? Drop a comment down below and let us know.
This is Chasing Poker Greatness with your host, Brad Wilson. Coach Brad approved. Are you a lone wolf searching for the ultimate pack? The CPG Wolf program is a close-knit brotherhood hell-bent on one thing only: chasing poker greatness. Powered by bleeding-edge wolf strats and led by Coach Brad and his lieutenants, CPG Wolves are systematically prepared for almost any spot they'll encounter on the green felt. If you want to plug into an elite team and have a step-by-step game plan to realize your full poker potential, you can apply at cpgwolves.com. Space is limited, and the pack is only as strong as its weakest member. So only the hungriest, grittiest, and most driven will be accepted into the program. Applications are open at cpgwolves.com.